Good afternoon, folks. Happy Friday. It is March 26th. I am Robert Chappell, the executive editor of Madison365, with your daily update for today. First thing we will talk about is the coronavirus statistics because they continue to bother me. As you know, I've always tried to be very honest with you and not try to scare you. There was a Forbes had an article the other day with a headline. I didn't even bother to read the article because the headline was so stupid. The headline said, 3 people who've been vaccinated got COVID again. Which, yeah, of course. Out of this, how many millions of people have been vaccinated? 3 got infected, and that is to be expected. As I've been telling you, the vaccine does not 100% prevent you from getting COVID, but it'll make it a very, very easy infection for you to deal with, and it will prevent you from dying of it. Makes it less likely for you to get it, but it's not going to 100% stop you from getting it. But if you do get it, it's just a very mild illness. So that's a very irresponsible headline. That's a headline that is highlighting the negative to scare you, to get you to click it. Right? That's not what we do here. So, you know, I would have more viewers if I tried to find the worst possible news every day to tell you. And I don't do that. All right, so when I tell you the news is not good, you can believe it because I don't have any interest in giving you bad news. So the news today is bad. Not unmitigated bad news. Not nearly as bad as the news was back in November. September, October, November. But it's not great today. So, and here's what worries me a little bit. That the positive test rate for the past 7 days, which is kind of that key number that tells us how we're doing, if that is below 3.0, then we know that we have the spread of the virus more or less under control. And we achieved that goal over a month ago now. We got down to, we got down below 3. We hit 3.0 on February 20th. So more than a month it's been below 3. Good job for all of us, right? We got it all the way down to 2.0 on March 12th. We hit 2.0. We stuck there for 4 days, and it's been going up ever since. So now we're at 2.6%. Now, again, we're still below 3, still more or less have it under control. But if this continues, we're going to get to the point where we don't have it so much under control anymore. And if you remember back a couple of months, New York City was well below 3.0 and opened schools. And they said that if we get back up to 3.0, we're going to have to close the schools. And, when it got to get to 2.6, 2.7, that's when they started talking about, oh, geez, are we going to have to close the schools? So, again, it's not always about the one number that you're looking at for any particular day. It's the trend, right? In isolation, in a vacuum, if you told me that your positive test rate is 2.6%, I'm thinking that's a thumbs up. That's great. That's good. That's below 3. However, if you look at that in the context of it having gone up every day for the past week, then it's not so great. Okay, so that's one number that has me a little bit concerned. Just for today, just so you know, we have 434 new tests today. New cases today. 4,825 tests came back, and 434 of those were positive. So that's a little better ratio for the day. It's about 9% for the day were positive. The other interesting thing today, I think this is the first time that our overall total death toll has gone down. We reported 4 deaths today, but 6 were actually removed, were corrected, which is happens frequently, where a few previously reported deaths will be either reclassified or just they'll find an error in the data or whatever. So our total death toll actually went down by 2 to 6,597. So that's pretty decent news. And that also pushes our daily average of reported deaths down to 5, which, because that negative number will push it down a little bit. So that's a little bit artificially low, but still, even if that was like 6 or 7, that would be okay. That would be pretty low and pretty good. The other number that concerns me a little bit is the active cases. We want to see active cases, like people who are currently actively infected and contagious. We want to see that go down to 0 eventually. Who knows if it'll ever actually get to 0, but we want it low, and it is going up again. 6,721 currently. And I will say also that the state gives it a very rough measure, a very sort of crude measure as to what that number is. They just basically classify any cases diagnosed in the past 30 days. Some cases are resolved within a week. Some last 4 months. So it's not a perfect measure, but that's a pretty good approximation. And that number is now, again, 6,721, which is about 100 more than it was yesterday. So that's not great either. So those are all the numbers that give me a little bit of pause, concern me a little bit. I'll give you some good news, though, that the number of vaccinations that we're getting, that we're finishing and that we're administering the first shots of, is far outpacing the number of new cases. Okay, we have 434 new cases today. We had 31,500 people finish their vaccine, their vaccine series. So that's almost 10 times as many, more than 10, almost 100 times as many people finish their vaccine than tested positive. So if you think of it that way, the vaccine will eventually snuff out the virus if that continues, right? We'll catch up. The question is, do we lose a bunch of people between now and then? Or are we able to clamp down and keep the spread in check while the vaccine is moving, or is the vaccine just going to be chasing this the whole time? You know what I mean? So we're now at 16.3% of the population has completed the vaccine. Almost 950,000 people have completed the vaccine. And I should say that's 16.3% of like the entire population, not just the eligible population or the adult population. We're seeing, of those 31,000 people, 31,000 people finished, 48,000 people got their first shot. And I'm going to tell you something. I was one of them. I got the call. I was on a list. I got a call yesterday at about 5 o'clock. I said, "Can you come get your shot right now?" And I said, "Sure." And today I am just very, very sleepy. After I get done here, I've been taking naps all day. After I get done here, I'm going to probably go back to bed. But I want to mention one thing. I want to say one thing that is with the experience. It was a very simple experience, very easy. I went into the clinic on the west side of Madison, and they took down my date of birth, and they made sure I was the person I said I was, and got the shot. Sat there for 15 minutes, and it was really easy. The whole process took probably an hour or so. Just driving there took longer than actually getting it done. But it tells me that the way this is happening right now, the way this particular side of it, where you've got like a list of people, and like, we have an extra couple extra doses, let's call those people and get them in here, which is the way a lot of people are getting it right now, is a very privilege-driven system, and not sustainable to get all these racial disparities taken care of. Because, as I'm driving home, I was thinking of all the privileges I had that allowed me to do that. I've got a job where I can leave. Like it was like 5 o'clock, but I was still working. But I was, working at home, but I was still working on stuff, and I was going to be working for another hour or so. But like, this is a job that I can get up and leave. I'm not on a factory line. I'm not on a production line. I'm not caring for other people. I'm not a teacher. You know what I mean? So I have a job where I could walk away for an hour with no notice. I have a spouse who can take care of my kids while I'm gone, and I can afford to buy dinner because it's like dinner time. and I'm going to get a shot, so I can have the privilege to be able to just pick up Culver's on the way home. Not everybody has those things. I've got a driver's license. I've got that I can show the ID. I've got a insurance card, easily accessible. So I understand. I'm glad I started my process, because everybody who gets the vaccine benefits not only themselves but everybody else. Right? My getting vaccinated helps my parents and my kids, and but it's also, I understand that there's a certain level of privilege in the way I got it, and thinking that through, I don't, that's not the way this is going to get done in terms of getting it to all the people who are in more vulnerable situations than I am. This is a good question, Margie. Is there any other ways we privileged folks can help with getting vaccines to people who are less privileged? I really don't know. I mean, we, Madison365, are going to try to be part of that as the state rolls out its. The state DHS put a bunch of money toward doing that, and we basically offered our services to help do that. So we'll find out, what that process will look like, I think, in the next week or two. But in terms of just everyday folks trying to help out, I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe call your county health department, see if they're taking volunteers or anything like that. That might be a good place to start. Good thought there, Margie. All right, that is all the COVID news for today. Again, kind of a mixed bag. The spread news is bad, but the vaccine news is pretty good overall. Don't go away, though. We got lots of news, including one really frustrating story out of Monona. So stay with us. We will be back right after this. Coming back, DJ has a question. Any updates on the vaccines and the zip codes in Milwaukee? No. It's a great question. What DJ is referring to there is that County Executive David Crowley made basically all adults within these certain 10 zip codes eligible for the vaccine starting this past Monday. Those 10 zip codes being the most vulnerable, sort of, to be honest with you, the most black zip codes in the state. I can tell you that so far, the numbers we're seeing right this second, it does not seem to have had a huge impact. 360,000 doses have been given in Milwaukee County, 12,000 just in the past 24 hours. But Milwaukee County still lags behind Dane County in terms of per capita vaccination. Only about 25% of the population in Milwaukee County has gotten one dose, whereas almost 35% in Dane County, for example. So, but again, these numbers might lag a little bit. So it's only been the past 5 days that those 10 zip codes have been eligible. So we might not see the impact reported immediately. But that's a great question. We'll keep an eye on it over the next few, going into next week. All right, let's talk other news. Christy Goforth, you might be aware, is running for mayor of Monona. We had a story about her Monday, I think, just about that fact that she's Native American. And if she wins, she'll be the first Native American mayor in the history of Wisconsin. She's from Michigan. She's a member of the Sault Ste. Marie Band of Chippewa Indians. And the story that I have up this morning, if you go to Madison365.org, you'll see the story. This actually happened before we published that. And I learned about this issue like the day before we published that story. And I decided to go ahead and publish the profile anyway without adding all this because this is like a whole separate story and it took a little time to dig through. But basically what happened, and don't do this, guys. Don't, white people, don't question the heritage of people of color, okay? So what happened is she's running as a Native American. She's running as a citizen of Monona. She's an alder. She's a member of the city council in Monona, but she's been unapologetic and not made a secret of the fact that she's Native American. So this other guy, Chad Spate, who is a former alder, he owns Chad's Design Build over there. He's an outspoken, progressive guy. Advertises a lot on the progressive radio stations and stuff. He posted that he had endorsed the incumbent, Mary O'Connor, which is fine. And his post had some substantive policy critiques of Christy Goforth's platform. He's also, by the way, a citizen member of the Public Works Committee. Tim Torino is also a member of that Public Works Committee. And he commented on Chad's post saying that he found on My Life, a quick Google search, found on My Life that Christy Goforth is listed as Caucasian. Okay, so why do you do that? The only reason to do that is the same thing that they did to Elizabeth Warren, So like you're not really a person of color. You're really just white, and you're just saying you're lying about your heritage to get points or to get affirmative action points or something. And it might seem innocuous. It might seem not a big deal, but she grew up in Michigan being called Chief on the playground. She had to go to the mainland to the tribal dental clinic, stuff like that. And to just kind of erase that in a really cavalier manner is really kind of gross. And so she felt compelled then to go on Facebook and basically prove her heritage. So she posted pictures of her tribal affiliation cards and talks about all the stuff, all the traditional native stuff she did as a kid. And she shouldn't have had to do that, right? So when I got a hold of Tim Torino, who made the comment yesterday, and I asked him, "Do you think she's Native American?" And he said, "Oh, I have no reason to believe she's not. She's not. I have no reason to believe otherwise." And I asked him, "So why did you say that on Facebook?" By the way, where he found that, My Life, is not a proper website. It's a data aggregation site. It just pulls public records from everywhere, and then it'll tell you that we have your criminal background check, and then they make you pay to see your own criminal background check, even though there's no criminal background at all. It's a total scam, and they actually got sued by the federal government last year. So anyway, Tim played, pretended he didn't know what I was talking about, and that he said he would. Well, I just threw it out there. I just thought it was weird that she was listed as Caucasian, so I just threw it out there, which is another thing that people do when they're trying to spread misinformation. That's literally a disinformation strategy. Say, I'm just asking the question. I just threw it out there. It's out there. I just threw it out there. And he ultimately, after I called him, deleted the comment. And he asked me, "So are you gonna publish that? Are you gonna report that I said that publicly?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah. You put something on Facebook as a public official. Yeah, I'm gonna report it, dude. Sorry." So I also had an email exchange with Chad Spate, who did the initial thing. Who, by the way, after Christy posted her defense of herself, Chad Spate was very aggrieved and hurt that she would dare to suggest that he and Tim were racist. And he's very hurt by this whole thing. And he emailed me and said, I'm just upset that, well, first of all, he said I had no idea He's known Christy Goforth for 5 years. He said at least 5 years, and had no idea that she was Native American. Even though it's on our campaign website, even though it was mentioned in the debates that he watched, he had no idea. So that comment about her being Caucasian, he wasn't sure what Tim was referring to. Probably shouldn't have liked it. Probably should have looked into it more. Blah blah blah. But by the time the Christy came, and posted her thing, proving her heritage, he was terribly hurt that she thought it was racist to question her heritage, which it is. And he said in his email to me that he's a champion of Native American rights. And in fact, one of his favorite songs is Stolen Land by Bruce Cockburn, who, by the way, is white. So that's another advice for my white friends. If you're trying to prove that you are not racist, mentioning a favorite song by another white person, not the best. That's not your bona fides. Right? Don't do that. So yeah, so that's that. It's the election is April 6th. The incumbent mayor wasn't involved in it at all. But it's dirty politics. It's don't do that. It's hurtful. It is. It's hurtful when you question somebody's heritage. So the whole story, you can see the Chad and Tim's responses and Chrissy's response at Madison365.org right now. Also today we have a profile on La Revo Books, which is a new bookstore on the south side of Milwaukee. It's not actually on the south side of Milwaukee. It's virtual, so it's an online store right now. But this pair of sisters, and I'm terribly sorry that I don't remember their names. Let me get up here. Started this. La Revo is short for La Revolución, right? They're trying to bring a revolution of literature to the south side of Milwaukee. Barbara and Valeria Cerda, my pronunciation is terrible, are the names of these sisters. It's a long-time dream for them to open a bookstore, so they've started this online store right now. And it's online. If you look at Madison365.org, you'll see the story. But Lake Anderson did a nice job on this story. The link is there to the shop, but they're really hoping to have a physical space in the near future, as soon as like retail is safe and appropriate again. But basically, they're trying to bring diverse titles, diverse authors. That you don't necessarily see on the bookstores all the time. You don't necessarily get in school all the time. In Spanish and in Nahuatl and indigenous language books and Spanish, English, and Spanglish books. Not to mention Black, Asian American books and stuff. So it's a good story. Check it out at Madison365.org and support that new local bookstore. This stuff, I love this story. There's this program in Madison that's been going for a long time. It's called Girls Biz. It's been going. It was started. I'm sorry to find this here. Wisconsin women entrepreneurs started it a long time ago. Anyway, I can't find it now, but and it's since 1996. Sorry, 25 years. It's been going. And this year, these 6 young ladies started a business. They basically start a business, make some money, and then donate it to charity or or split the proceeds. But it's a learning experience for entrepreneurship and philanthropy. And they ended up this year. This is the first time it's been fully virtual. And they ended up donating $500 to Foster of Dane County, which is Jacqueline Hunt's organization here in Madison. It's fosters families overcoming struggles to encourage restoration. It's basically a mental health and addiction counseling. Is basically mostly what they do. But get middle school kids, girls, to start a business and become little, philanthropists. It's a terrific learning experience for them. Dave Dahmer has that story at Madison365.org right now. And in sports, Shaka Smart. You might remember Shaka Smart. He was the head coach of Virginia Commonwealth University when they made their unlikely run to the Final Four back in 2011. They were an 11th seed then and made it all the way to the Final Four. And everybody around here was very happy about that because Shaka Smart is from Oregon, Wisconsin. After that run, he was hired by Texas, which was just beaten in the NCAA tournament by Abilene Christian. Texas was a 3 seed, and they got upset by Abilene Christian. And Shaka Smart is now going to be the head coach at Marquette in Milwaukee, who fired Steve Wojcicki after this past season. The Golden Eagles underperformed this past season, so they fired the coach, and they have hired homegrown talent, Shaka Smart. That is all I have for you today. I am going back to bed and sleep off this vaccine shot. And I'll be back Monday with more news, more COVID data. I hope better COVID news. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a rainy weekend, so enjoy it anyway. And take care of yourselves. Everybody stay safe. Keep your masks on. Keep your distance. Let's keep these numbers in check. It's up to us, guys. Take care. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend.
This is 365 Media.